Hello friends, this is my 15th presentation on the YouTube for corporate finance and accounts functions, and the subject is performing internal audits in all business functions. Overall, this is my 46th presentation considering all the YouTube presentations which I have made so far. I plan to include in this presentation how to configure a robust internal audit charter, types of the internal audits, 21 sources for developing internal audit checklist, carrying out the SOD or severity occurrence detectability analysis, assigning scores based on the SOD analysis, developing a heat map on risk classification as high, medium, or low, illustration of for 174 internal audit checkpoints for risk classification, and evolving heat maps and approach to determine the frequency and priority of the internal audits. Configuring a robust internal audit. There are a couple of points which add up to make a robust charter, and here I plan to include the ones which are important ones, which I am going to share. Rest they will be available in the my slide. One is that having a proper vision and mission of the internal audit function, having a quality policy for the internal audit reports, audit scope to be comprehensively defined like financial, commercial, technical, legal, IT, ERP, etc. Reporting of the chief internal auditor, preferably to the board audit subcommittee for independence, and approach to develop comprehensive audit checklists and criteria for in-house or outsourcing of the internal audit, cycle times for the audits, sample size or performing 100% audit of the entire population, competency profile of the auditors, then evolving percentage conformance index for the audit findings, presentation to the board, implementation actions, follow-up, and performance of the internal audit based on the balanced scorecard. These are the important aspects which must be a part of the robust internal audit charter. Types of internal audits. For a mid-size organization having multi-plant operations, different offices in different cities, states, and maybe overseas also, and sales and marketing functions, etc. I propose that there should be broadly four type of audits. One is the financial and commercial audit, second is the technical audit, third is the IT, ERP, and legal audits. I'll be sharing some of the checklist points for these. Now, there are different sources. There are 21 sources were identified for developing the internal audit checklist for conducting internal audits, which is very, very important. Now, for example, in the case of financial and commercial audits, the audit scope areas are sales and marketing function, materials management function, finance and accounts function, corporate services, production and assembly functions, R&D functions, quality control functions, human resource, administration, and management consultancy. Now, I am talking only about the financial and commercial aspects, not the technical aspects. Technical audits are, for example, the manufacturing or assembly plants, outsourced assembly plants, R&D or new product development division, quality assurance like receipt quality control, quality assurance like work-in process and product quality audit, service headquarters audit, sales and service depots audit, dealer service rendering workshops, vendor manufacturing plants, and construction projects like site construction works. Third one is the IT ERP audit, which is basically four kinds of audits. Which one is the IT infrastructure at plants, offices, warehouses, depots, distributor dealers, etc. Then server room, IT infrastructure control room audit, IT security policy and security infrastructure audit, and outsource software development service providers audit. Legal audits. A few suggested scope areas are like legal and secretarial functions, all manufacturing plants, including outsourced under company management, corporate offices, all other type of offices, sales depots and warehouses under company management, and SEC operations, the legal aspects within these areas. Now, please appreciate that in each of these slides, I have indicated some numbers like 60 audit checkpoints, technical also 60 audit checkpoints, 24 checkpoints, internal audits for IT ERP, and 30 checkpoint for legal audit. Now these add up to 174, and these are given in detail in my book. Uh, I'll continue with this a little later on. Now, there are 21 sources for developing the internal audit checklist, which I am just sharing. The common being for all types are referring to the SOPs, then referring to the previous audit reports, inputs from specialists, and best practices. Commercial audits, inputs from the respective HOD or CEO or the board, then built-in features in the modules of ERP like SAP, SD sales distribution module, materials management module, finance module, HR module, etc. etc. Then financial audits, the inputs can be obtained for developing checklist from Indian Accounting Standards (IAS), general guidelines issued by the Company Law Board, RBI as SEBI notifications, regulatory requirements as per the statutory acts and rules, and inputs from the respective function HOD or CEO or the board. Technical audits, applicable quality standards and statutory norms like Bureau of Indian Standards or quality standards from other countries as applicable. Built-in features in modules of ERP like PP, production planning, QM, quality module, etc. in the SAP. Then IT, ERP, company IT security policies, international standard like BS 7799, ISO 27001, technical manuals provided by the IT infrastructure vendors, and guidelines provided by the ERP solution vendor and IT specialist firms. Legal audits, checklist can be developed from statutory acts and rules therein, approved licenses issued by the statutory bodies and conditions set therein, normally given at the back of this each license, inputs from the legal and secretarial teams as such, and outsourced advocates. Now, carrying out the SOD severity occurrence detective analysis. Preparing a risk register we need to prepare a risk register by posing a question: what is the adverse impact on the business in case the operation being performed goes wrong? And compiling answer to using the SOD analysis. Now, SOD has got three components. One is the severity impact analysis on 5 parameters on a 10-point scale. And now this includes parameters like profitability, impact on statutory calculations and compliances, the impact on the strategic value of the company and customer retention, financial statement accuracy, single operational circular for listing obligations and disclosure requirements, and then LODR from SEBI, and reliability and effectiveness of the process being audited. The impact of things going wrong, the scoring needs to be done on these parameters. Occurrence. This 10 parameters are proposed which can trigger adverse impact on the business, like inadequate skill or resources, improper segregation of duties, like who can initiate the action, who can modify the activity, who can edit the activity, who can delete the activity, and who can approve the business activity. In any of these four type of audits, four type of functions which I have talked about. Incorrect or incomplete execution of the work activity, number of inadequate verification of the no or inadequate verification of the output, incorrect source data, weak internal controls, non-robust systems, process logic not being configured properly, and process complexity, etc. Any combination of these parameters can contribute to the triggering of the adverse impact of the business. Detectability, D. Now there are 5 stages which have been proposed. First one is the stage at the early stage itself. For example, in case we are talking about the sales invoicing, the error can be detected at the person making the invoice or at the sales delivery stage. That is the stage 1, where the impact is least because it can be corrected. Stage 2 is like subsequent stage, like sales invoice approval by the sales manager. Stage 3 is by the finance person who detects the error in the invoicing while accounting for it. And stage 4 is during the internal audit stage. And stage 5 is at the customer end. It is outside the business, and only we come to know of the error in the invoicing through the customer. Now, assigning scores based on the SOD analysis. Now, here one is proposing the concept of impact score, which is based on the score on the severity multiplied by the score on the detectability on a 100-point scale. That means 10 into 10. Risk exposure score is on the score on the occurrence, likelihood of the defect or the error on a 10-point scale. For example, in the case of sales invoicing activity by the say company's own sales depot itself, the severity parameter is 10. Supposing the billing is done at a low rate than the correct rate, then it will have serious impact on the billing and on the therefore profitability. Detectability parameters. Now I have just assumed at 7 score, assuming that accounts is not catching the accuracy of the sales price in the stage in the initial stages. It comes to at a much later stage. The score on the business impact would be therefore S into D, which is severity into detectability, which would be 10 into 7, which is 70, which falls in the Z zone. The impact being high. This I will share in the next slide. Occurrence parameter 8. Now this is on out many parameters in the combination can influence the high score. So the score on the risk likelihood of errors would be 8, which will fall in the red zone. Now let me just go back to the to show how the score is determined. Now let's go back to severity. So I said that impact of the prices being lower, it will directly have impact on the profitability. Maybe the taxation is not correct, so it will have impact on the statutory regulations. So that is how we I have just given a score of 10 there. Now in the case of say detectability, so in the detectability is done at the say manager finance stage. I mean he or she misses it out, so therefore I've given a score of 7 instead of lower score. So impact is going to be high. It may be detected at the internal itself, may not be detected, therefore score is given as 7. Now then no, I was talking about the occurrence score or likelihood score. There are 10 parameters. Any combination of this parameter, like inadequate skills, person who's making the invoice, or inappropriate segregation of duties, or incorrect incomplete execution of the activity, or weak internal controls, or improper logic in this software for billing. These all can contribute to this score of severity parameter score of 10 and activity score of 7, totaling to 10 into 7, 70, and occurrence parameter of 8 out of these 10 parameters. Now this is a kind of a heat map which I have shown, the where the vertical axis, y-axis, it gives a impact score on a which is severity multiplied by detectability on a 100-point scale, and on the horizontal scale x-axis it is exposure score or likelihood to score on a 10-point scale. So vertical is on a 100-point scale, and lower one, the horizontal one, is 10-point scale. Now I in this there are, you can see some numbers like I, H, E, M, I, L, E, M. Now what do these represent? These represent I indicates impact. H means a score between 61 to 100 is deemed to be H, high. Score between 51 to 60 is deemed as M, and L is lower than 50. Similarly, exposure score, high is deemed as 6.1 to 10, medium as 4.1 to 6, and L is lower than 4. So this graph is called SOD, based on the SOD heat map. Now I will just share how to make use of this. Now there are 174 internal checkpoints which I have talked about, the risk classification and heat maps to be prepared, and checklist manual to be prepared. Now these 174 points are like in the financial and commercial audit 60 activities. Now for the 10 audit areas. Now which are these 10 audit areas? Like technical audit, 10 audit areas, 60 activities. Now let me go back to this. Yeah. uh, in the financial and commercial, there are 10 audit areas are like sales and marketing, materials management, finance and accounts, corporate services, production and assembly, R&D function, and so on and so forth. Similarly, in the case of technical audits, the areas are manufacturing and assembly plants, 6 points, outsource assembly plant, 6 illustration for the activities, R&D new product development, 6 illustration for the activities where the audit must be done, quality assurance, receipt quality, six examples of the activities which must be included in the scope of the internal audit. Likewise, for the IT and ERP, I have shown this. These are the now in the case of legal, for example, there are legal and secretarial function as such is six audit points are there. Manufacturing plants, there are 6 points. For example, these may be relevant to the safety, it may be relevant to the factory act, etc. Corporate office and all types of offices, there are six aspects. These may be related to maybe the company law, etc. Then sales depot and warehouses, this may be include something like aspect related to the GST and SEZ operations, which may lead to the import and export and documents, etc. Now coming to the illustration. So these are based on the 174, and now I am not sharing the activities listing. These are included in my book in chapter 14 and annexure 29, 31, 32 respectively. Then one need to also prepare a checklist manual. This manual will be based on all these points. Although I given 174, based on my experience, there is a potential to make about 900 to 1200 uh, uh, business activities in each of these four type of areas audits. So total can be, for example, 36 to 1400 audit checkpoints, plus one can also add some more aspect from the strategy acts. Next one is approach to determining the frequency and priority of the audit. Now, this is based on the above sample risk register or heat map which I have just shared, and the high priority and frequency of the performance audit can be determined like below. High, in the case of high priority and business, high priority are the areas which where the business activities are falling in the red zone quadrant. That means, let me just show you here this red zone quadrant where the impact score is above 60, and this exposure score is from beyond 5.1 to 10. So this is the red zone. Now, yeah, medium priority areas are the one which fall. Business activities are falling in the yellow zone, and there the frequency audit can be 6 monthly. Whereas the red zone quadrant, the activities can be quarterly or even earlier. And the low priority areas are the one which are in green zone, and where the audits can be done even annually. Like the ones here in the left lowermost quadrant, these are the green zone, so there the frequency can be even annual. Okay. So but these are the frequencies which is purely indicative, and the chief internal auditor in consultation with the CEO and based on the manpower and the resources can always change this frequency and priorities. Now future references. Now these are the examples. More details are available in my second book called Profitability and Ethics, Essential Ingredients for Business Success. It has been released last month in the month of November, sorry. And I have given the links for buying in India and also buying in international. You can also refer to several of my blogs related to these subjects, various subjects, and on my social media platforms like website and Facebook and LinkedIn. Variety of articles are there. Thank you very much.